Welcome back to the Tydirium Hangar. This is Mike, and I'm coming at you with another video. This time, I want to talk to you about my Masterpiece Transformers collection and display, how I'm displaying it, and a lot of good stuff. So, I mostly want to do this to give people some ideas and what I'm doing, and maybe I can help you all out a bit. And if you have your collection videos, so go ahead and submit them on Facebook, Tydirium Hangar Toys. Anyway. Getting right into this, this is my new Decepticon shelf. Used to keep my 12-inch collection up here, and I just felt like I needed to move that and get this going on right here. Now, I did put some backgrounds in. I'm disappointed in that right there in the very top corner. The shelf is not exactly flat, so I don't know. I'm gonna have to like take that out, cut it to fit, or figure something out. Or I could just put like a black stripe across there or something. But anyhow, that kind of little detail stuff bothers me. And then anyway, like if you ignore that, the rest of it looks pretty good. I did build up some platforms. I like having things on levels so that just it's built up. And what I usually like to have is it to be just empty in the center. I like the center to be empty and the figures go all the way around it. And the reason I like to do that is just to create some space, you know, some empty space in your display. I do have the Combiner Wars Debbie over here, and I have to say my display looks a bit crowded for this shelf simply because I'm waiting on so much stuff to come in. I want to build that Devastator. I did throw the Siege refractor in there simply because I just like to have it readily available and easy to mess with. And the room upstairs where I keep my chug stuff, which isn't very much, but I just don't keep it down here. So that's the one chug thing I keep down here. Now moving down, I have this other, now these are built in, I guess you just say cabinets, but if I wanted to, for whatever reason, I can close this off and really make this whole room look Star Wars and not Transformers. But yeah, people be like, why would you want to do that? Well, my original setup was like mostly Star Wars, so the Transformer stuff has been taking over. It's almost poetic justice. So next up, this is my Autobot shelf, and I got it kind of split into two sections. And so up top I have Prime and a couple of mini bots, and I want to say yes, it does look crowded. Like it didn't look this crowded. I added 2, 3, 4 more figures. Next thing I know, it looks crowded. So that's one thing that I'm looking at, like moving things around to make them look less crowded. But that's the back behind the original Grimlock, and I want to say that this isn't, I don't split it up to just the Season 1 and Season 2 or whatever, because I was going to do that, but I wanted to put the Headmasters in here too. So it's pretty close to Season 1, Season 2 kind of stuff, but with this, yeah, it's, I got a background in there. I've had that background. I spent way too much money on just getting a random picture printed to make a background, and I had a whole lot of footage actually of how I put these backgrounds together and stuff, but in the end I just felt like the end result was far more interesting and just talking about the setup. Now that is where my transform element is, and I want to say that's where my MP44 is going to go. Sorry, transform element. And I feel like this just doesn't look right. I think I'm just a little too close to it. I'm going to pan out by hand and then go back to the stand, but from a distance I think it looks a lot better because this is kind of how I view it. Like you see the empty space in the front there, and I have the white Magic Square Prime is usually what's in the middle. I kind of threw the new Maverick in there just to kind of look at it for a bit, but the thing is I might just need to move that Magic Square Prime out of the way and just have Maverick. It just looks too busy. There's too much going on. But what I do want to point out is the more empty space that you kind of have in your display, and the less clutter, the better it looks. And so this looks so much better before I added like a handful of figures. But just kind of show you in the back, I got the Dino Bots, and yeah, I have a mixture of different ones. And I'm not just like Fans Toys or just any one company on the dinos. It's a mix of the two. And so the Giga and the Fans Toys. And then looking over here, yeah, I got a Legends in there. That was another thing holding me back from doing this video, because I was working on for a couple of months now, and the Legends stuff was just, I was letting it clutter up my displays just because I kind of wanted to have them displayed in lighting and we'll talk about lighting here in just a second. But yeah, just going through here, some of these figures I swap out. Some of them probably just don't belong, like that Power Glide in the back. It's more of like, in my mind, just a storage. And because this is like a deep cabinet, I can store some stuff back there, and it's out of sight. So it's out of sight from my view, and most views, like we're way kind of deep in this cabinet here looking at it. The skids, I actually, sadly, I haven't even transformed it yet. He's getting dusty. He needs to get transformed. I need to mess with it. I just took it out and just threw it up there. I never even really messed with the skids. But it's probably the best one we've got. Anyway, would like to get a Phoenix. That's the X. I do have some other stuff coming in. I'm gonna get the chrome version of Sludge back there, and then I still am missing one of the characters in the Dinobots, but I just wanted to represent the best representation of each that I can on the shelf and just make it look good. So I'm getting over here into this display. I want to talk about lighting real quick. I use some LED lighting that I got at Walmart, just $12 or something per strip, and as you can see, like, I didn't do a great job of hiding the wires as well and stuff. But then again, this is out of the sight because it's a side cabinet, and so I don't see it. Like when I'm looking at it, this is from my angle. I pretty much just see this, and that's how I like to look at my collection. One of the things I do in this display, this is my sort of movie display, season 3 display, however you want to call it. I do put a figure right in the center in my empty space. Whatever I get that's new, like when with the 2 Cyclonus, and I just kind of leave it there under the light and look at it. I don't know, it's just something I do. It's what I like to do. Before I even review it, I just let it sit there and I look at it for a while. Well, as I'm doing my other stuff and replying to comments, editing, all that great stuff, all that fun stuff. So from a distance and then moving in. Now, one thing I want to point out, and I've done a display video in the past. It's been a year though, but with that, I like the granite platforms that I put in there, and then it gives it some levels. So it's not just flat, and that's kind of how I try to make every shelf. And you're gonna see my last shelf doesn't really have that. And I have this big back poster, which was probably a poorly printed one, but anyway. And then it gets a little cluttered right here, but see, another thing is that it's all vantage point. Like, I don't see that really from where I sit and my desk. I don't see that, so it doesn't bother me. But on the flip side, I like to have stuff readily available to grab for a lot of different reasons and a lot of different purposes. And there's all the Cyclonus team. I just can't bring myself to get rid of any of them now. They all look different. All 3 of those look different. But Wreck-Gar, in my mind, is factionless. Although he kind of sides with the Autobots, I still look at the Junkyards as being their own thing. And I divided this between good and bad. And Voltron's in the middle. By the way, that Voltron is awesome. I mean, the couple of minor issues I have with mine, like, the more I mess with it, the more I'm like, I like the KO's fine with me. I got an official coming on the way, but I really like that KO. And this is what I'm talking about, like with Shockwave. I got a Shockwave here, I got a Shockwave in the other display, and I have other figures that are, I've got Jetfire, Skyfire in the other display also, and you can have multiple characters, different representations, and just have them in your different displays, depending on how you have things set up in shelves and how you display your stuff. So this one I find to be the hardest to really kind of show you what I got going on. I try to, from my vantage point, be able to see every character and make it look like they're in there with some sort of a purpose or reason. But no, right now they're just kind of crammed in here until I get myself all of the combiners that I want and how I want them. And this big of bots, and there they are just in that shelf. There is a Minosaur, like a real small one that I can use to compare. So I want to do some comparisons, but when you get your, like the X-Transbots one, there's not much to compare it to, so got to have something to compare that thing to. I think in the future I'm going to redo all the displays when I get combiners and just integrate them into the shelf, because I know they'll fit fine on my other shelves. It's just going to take a lot of work of redoing stuff. And stepping back a bit, just to show you kind of how I see this when I'm looking at it. And it looks so much better from, the vantage point, and especially from across the room. The other thing about Masterpiece is Masterpiece can look good from a distance. There'll be more light there. This is my 12-inch collection, and I moved it all. It all fits on this shelf aside from Bumblebee, and I have actually over here in the corner, I have one of the birds. Was that Laserbeak? And and I have some of my legends down here, down below. So a lot of fun stuff going on, and this is quintessentially the Transformers taking over my Star Wars. This used to all be Star Wars stuff, and now it's Transformers taking over. And yes, you can see behind that I have a handful of Optimus Primes, so the G1s. Now, this might have a bit of lighting issues, but so I cleared out a shelf that I had some of my G1 stuff on here. I think you might have seen my G1 collection video. I had to just replace all that stuff and put it in new places, and just the way it was. But anyway, this is how I'm displaying my Legends figures, and I need to redo it. I just kind of threw them up there, and now I'm realizing I need the levels involved in this. I can't have it just all of them all standing together. But let's get a little closer look. Now, I'm a big fan of Legends Plus. I'm more of a Plus guy. I think that the larger scale of this is better for me. I like it. Now, I think I've done a video. Yeah, I did a video showing all of the ones that I had. And so, anyway, I'm going to work on redoing this whole thing. It's going to be time consuming. I got to just get the right materials and all that stuff. But I don't know if this shelf is strong enough to support the granite like those other shelves, because it's kind of modular, and I don't want to crush what's below it. So, but anyway, yeah, I never wanted to get too deep into Legends, but I think I'm too deep into it now. So I'll just keep playing with it and going with it. And I had to make space. Some people hang clothes in their closet. Other people store Transformers. So here are some Transformers with my Vita collection. And these are just some spares. Like, I had an extra Rodimus I thought about transforming into a car. Dude gave me a good deal on it, so I was like, whatever, I'll get it. But I have too many of the Springers, and I want more Springers, to tell you the truth. This is another shelf just on the other side, and this is really where I actually didn't put mini bots in my main display. For a long time, I had this thing against small bots. I only wanted bigger, as you can see with my 12-inch collection, and it took me a while to catch on to the smaller bots. And then when I started collecting them, they were just so expensive. Once I started seeing them selling cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, I would go ahead and buy like multiples and compare them when I get them for super cheap discounts and stuff. So that's why I have so many of different characters, like so many different versions of the same character, because I got them all real cheap, like half or a third of what they're normally asking, or I wouldn't have got this many for sure. And again, like some of my figures that I consider to be fillers, get rid of them. My fillers are still there, and I think that there's reasons to hold on to old ones. I like to do the comparisons. I like knowing the old, and if you can find a space and still display them and make it look nice and enjoyable. Like, I like coming in here and checking these things out. And this eventually, well, I was going to have this be my GoBots shelf, but we didn't get very far with GoBots at all. So I figured the bugs could take it over, because I think you need quite a bit of space if you're going to have multiple sets of bugs like I do. Hope y'all enjoyed my collection overview, my displays, maybe giving you some ideas on how you can improve your displays, or maybe you can just say, wow, I display my stuff way better than a Tydirium hanger. But either way, mine's such an organism that changes almost weekly, one way or another, because of things coming in and going out. But remember, if you have an awesome display, or even if you have a very small collection, submit your collection to Tydirium Hanger Toys for inclusion in my next 3,000 subscriber special. Tydirium Hanger out.